Broken Arrow case. Two brothers killed their entire family for fame. In 2015, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, was the site of a gruesome and shocking crime that shocked the nation. Two brothers, seemingly without motive, savagely murdered their entire family in a brutal act of violence that left the community reeling. The Broken Arrow case remains one of the most baffling and disturbing cases of family-side in American history. And in this video, we delve deep into the twisted mind of these two killers to try and understand what could have led them to commit such an unspeakable act. Welcome to AF Crime, the channel that brings you fascinating crimes all around the world. If you're interested in this kind of content, then this channel is for you. Make sure to like this video, click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to keep you updated on our recent uploads. Now, let's get right into the video and investigate the crime scene of the Broken Arrow murder case. Robert Bever was born on the 17th of September 1996, and his brother, Michael Bever, was 2 years younger than him, and he was born on the 4th of November 1998. They were the two oldest sons of David and April Bever. Now, David and April met when they were very young. April was only 15 years old when she married David in Texas. They went on to have 7 children together. They were really young when the attack happened. Crystal was 13 years old. Daniel was 12. Christopher was 6 years old, Victoria was 5, and Autumn, who was only 2 years old. The whole family lived in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Neighbors said the parents homeschooled their children and kept a close eye on them, restricting them from mingling with neighbors and other children. They weren't allowed to any clubs or any activities outside the house. Their dad, David Bever, was working in an IT department, and we can all safely say that his job did support his entire family. His co-worker described him as a quiet, nice, and introvert person who kept to himself. He reportedly did not socialize with his colleagues, and he passed down his traits to his children. The family avoided the social life to the point that their neighbors don't even know their names until the incident happened. And because the children weren't allowed to play with other kids, they would just usually play in their own backyard with each other. Their neighbors said that they would rarely see any of the children. Some rumors said that it could sometimes go for months without anyone leaving the house, except for David, who was working. Robert Bever was the only child who ever got a chance to go to preschool, but it was reported that he was molested, and that led to David and April's decision to homeschool each of their future children. Additionally, David Bever was overprotective with his family to the point where he installed a security camera in each of the rooms in his house. He was also reported to being physically and verbally abusive towards his children. Despite being strict to the children, their parents allowed them to have full access to the internet, which is a very bad move because there is a lot more dangerous things in the internet than in the actual world. Now, I don't believe that social media such as movies, internet, and games will cause a child to be violent, but it is still a place where they can get inspirations of ideas they're already having. Furthermore, regardless of having a non-social life, Robert and Michael seem to have a normal childhood, just like any other normal boy their age. They also like sports cars, Star Wars, Linkin Park, and of course, Minecraft. The two boys also uploaded a vlog on YouTube, and they seem to be just average, normal, goofy teenagers. Unfortunately, around this time, Robert became interested in serial killers and mass murderers. His younger brother, Michael, looked up to Robert, and he also started liking serial killers and mass shooters. They would go on and share their thoughts about killing. They fantasized about Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez, who are the world's famous serial killers. They also started to idolize school shooters, such as the Columbine High School Massacre in 1999. They're planning to outdo it by killing more than they did. It all sums up when they started watching the movie Rampage. Well, if you don't know what this movie is about, it can be described as a man who had enough of the world's population and wanted to bring balance to the society. The man in the movie built his own armor and then goes around killing a lot of people. The motive of the movie was adapted by the two brothers. They planned their killing spree to become the world's famous mass murderers. Robert and Michael's sole purpose for their attack was to become famous. They wanted to get well known for having killed the most people. They wanted to have a Wikipedia for themselves, and ironically, when you search this case right now, you won't find any articles specifically for them. Instead, the header was titled as the Broken Arrow Killings, where it briefly described what happened at the scene, but doesn't really focus on Robert and Michael. Sounds pretty savage to me, right? In order to execute their plan, they needed a gun and a lot of ammunitions. Robert, who was 18 years old at the time, began working on a Christian call center where the caller would tell their problems and the person working on the phone would pray with them. The job had given Robert enough funds to buy a full set of body armor for both of them. Both boys began collecting knives, daggers, and hatchets, and you may be wondering how come did their parents didn't notice it? Well, in fact, they did. Their younger sister Crystal reported it to their parents as soon as she saw the collection of knives of her older brothers. They brushed her off and said that boys will be boys, and later said that it's normal boy behavior. Their parents were also aware that the boys bought a bulletproof vest, but didn't intervene with their hobby. Robert was able to purchase a gun and ammunitions online and have them shipped to a gun store, where he would be able to pick them up on July 23, 2015. At some point, they realized that their parents were going to be mad and may confiscate their guns, so they came up with a heinous plan. They planned to kill each of the members of the family the night before their guns would arrive. On July 22, 2015, Robert and Michelle were at their room. They were likely preparing for their plan. Their mother, April, and younger sister, Crystal, were downstairs tidying up. April had told Crystal to bring her two brothers to help them tidying away by washing the dishes. Crystal goes on and opened the door of her two older brothers. Upon opening the door, she saw Robert and Michael all dressed up in their armor, and a bunch of knives were lying on the bed. Now, this doesn't surprise Crystal, as she had already seen them in their body armor multiple times. She was also aware of the knife collection. She heard Michael ask Robert, quote, "Shall we do it right now?" Which Robert enthusiastically replied yes. Michael lured the poor little girl Crystal that he had something to show her in his laptop. Crystal unknowingly obeyed her brother. After she sat down at Michael's desk, this is when Robert came up behind her and slit her throat. The plan was to quietly kill each member of the family. However, this wasn't the case after he slit Crystal's throat. She had enough strength to put up a fight with her brother and screamed for help, but she eventually had been stabbed multiple times. Miraculously, she managed to get out of the bedroom and run to the front door, where she repeatedly screamed for help. Unfortunately, she eventually collapsed and blacked out due to excessive blood loss at the front yard. April heard Crystal's screams and was about to go outside to help her child. Robert, who was supposedly chasing Crystal to finish her off, diverted his attention to his mother, April. It was reported that April was aggressively fighting Robert, but was also stabbed 48 times in her neck, face, arms, chest, and abdomen. After Robert killed his mother, he ordered Michael to drag Crystal back to the house since someone might have seen her and called the police. Michael then dragged Crystal back to the house and presumed she was already dead, so they didn't do anything afterwards. At this point, the house was erupting into chaos. The other children, named Christopher and Victoria, were hiding in the bathroom where they locked themselves. Michael, who was the son of the devil, manipulated his siblings to open the door for him. He claimed that he was not part of Robert's plan, and he too was also scared and wanted to hide with them. Christopher opened the door, thinking his brother was in danger, and as soon as he opened the door, Michael went in and killed both siblings. 7-year-old Christopher had 21 total stab wounds, while the 5-year-old Victoria had 23 stab wounds. The other kid, named Daniel, had managed to hide in his dad's office and was able to call 911 at 11:32 p.m. Audio clips of Daniel's conversation with the dispatcher are available online. Michael managed to open the door, and as soon as he got Daniel at the grip of his hand, he smashed the cell phone that was even heard at the dispatcher's recording. Michael then said to Robert, "He's all yours." Robert then stabbed Daniel 21 times, and they even let Daniel to run, which he did. Unfortunately, he collapsed at the living room where he eventually died. David Bever, the father of the family, was fast asleep when all the commotion happened. He finally woke up and went downstairs, only to find the horrific scene at his house. For some instances, Robert managed to stab their dad at the chest, which made David to fall to the floor. Robert desperately stabbed his own father 28 times until he died. Almost as soon as they had killed everyone, they heard a knock at the front door. They grabbed a backpack and fled out in the wooded area behind their house. The city of Broken Arrow has about 100,000 of residents, and an incident like this only happened once every couple of years. So when they received Daniel's call, they call out everyone to the scene, K-9 units, multiple detectives, firefighters, and paramedics. When they first arrived at the scene, the police knocked on the door and heard a faint voice saying, "Help me." They brushed off the door and found Crystal lying on the floor with a pool of her own blood. They rushed her to the paramedics, and thankfully, despite having multiple stab wounds, a slit throat, and excessive blood loss, she survived. They first discovered April and Daniel in the living room floor, but they were pronounced dead at the scene. The police were able to go to the back of the house where they discovered a locked bathroom, and when they opened it, they found the body of Christopher and Victoria lying on the bathroom floor. Crime scene investigators said that it was the worst scene they had ever seen. They searched the whole house and room one by one. When they got into the last room, they found a baby girl lying in a crib. The police thought that the baby was also harmed because the baby wasn't moving, but thankfully, the 2-year-old Autumn was just asleep the whole time the attack happened. Thank God. Daniel called 911, hence saving his sister's life. If Robert and Michael had found out the baby girl was still alive, they would have cut her head off by an axe according to their plan. The police had found out the tracks of blood outside the back door of their house. They let the K-9 sniff the scent of the suspects, and they were quickly discovered by the K-9 units as they were hiding in the brush. When police commanded them to surrender, Robert did not hesitate to come out and said, "It was a pleasure. I am proud of what I have done." On the other hand, Michael was hesitant to surrender, which made police to release the dogs. After they got arrested, they were photographed for evidence. It was seen that Robert was smiling and smirking as if he just passed a test. Michael was seen to have an empty face with no sign of remorse. He can be seen in the picture with a torn shirt and bite marks in his shoulders. Authorities have called the killings as the worst single criminal event in Broken Arrow history. The brothers were charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of assault battery with the intent to kill. Michael Bever was later charged as an adult since he was only 16 at the time of the attack. It was reported that Robert attempted suicide by hanging with a bedsheet on June 17, 2016, as he was discovered by a detention officer during a security check. Medical staff cut him down, and he was then transferred to Suicide Watch. On 2019, the house of the Bever family was burned down and became a reflection park, dedicated in an official ceremony. The park meandered, a path through a knoll of grass where the Bever family once stood. The 2 surviving family members' identities were sealed due to their own safety. I wish they have all the love and support they deserve. I can't imagine the trauma they must have been through. This is a constant reminder that whatever you'll find in the internet stays in the internet. Comment down your opinions about this case. AF Crime strives to bring you more such cases, so if you are interested, do subscribe to our channel, where we bring you multiple videos per week. And don't forget to click on the bell icon to receive notification whenever we publish a new video. Till the next case, and thanks for watching.